Greetings to everyone to this series of videos that seek to reflect on an aspect of human nature, both in light of scriptures and of human experience in this world. Our focus today is on the plight of the elderly, to which I belong. And therefore, in sharing these thoughts with my viewers, I speak as one who is located within the predicament that is being addressed. In the interest of brevity and control over the material, I've decided today for the first time to write out the text of the message I wish to share with you. And I'll go through the text very, very slowly so that the meaning of what is sought to be shared may become clear and it will be easy to register these thoughts. So the title I have given to this talk is a question: are you like me in the shadow of old age? If you are, what I'm going to share with you would be of interest to you. The pain of old age is redundancy, or the anguish of being irrelevant and useless. Do you feel useless? Do you feel that you are now becoming increasingly irrelevant to the context in which you are? Then please continue to participate in this video. Here are some thoughts that could help you, because I have found them helpful in my life. To what extent they help you would depend entirely, or at least mostly, on you. And in fact, that goes for all resources in this world. You may have the best of resources at your disposal, but if you don't care to make use of them, or if you don't use them appropriately and adequately, they may not really make much positive or beneficial difference in your life. Now, most people think that the only problem in old age, or in life as a whole, as a matter of fact, is that help is not available. Certainly, that's a problem. Not always is the sort of help that we desire available to us. But we must recognize that there is an even more fundamental problem, and that is people are not, and including all of us, we are not very open to being helped. We are not happy to make use of the help that's available. In other words, we are unwilling to be helped. So on the one hand, help is not available, and on the other hand, we are unwilling to be helped. So these are the two aspects of the problem that we need to keep in mind. Most people think that they suffer because others do not help. Others do not take them seriously. Others do not recognize their worth and their relevance. But the real question to be asked is, do they recognize their own worth? Do they celebrate it? And do they try to increase their worth? Because I believe that irrespective of how old you are, you can go on improving, increasing your worth till the last breath of your life. So now let's get started. And what better way to get started these days than to get started with Prime Minister Modi, who is the alpha and omega of being Indian. The other day, I watched Prime Minister Modi on a road show. Thousands were lined up on both sides of the road. Tens and thousands of people. The vehicle by which Prime Minister Modi was traveling was heavily decorated, and it was actually draped with flowers. You could barely see the metallic frame. It was all completely covered with flowers. And also there was a huge heap of flowers on the vehicle, And Prime Minister Modi was seen occasionally flinging some flowers to the crowd. And when he threw these flowers, it was obvious, and I was watching everything very closely and carefully, it was very obvious to me that he was not throwing these flowers or flinging these flowers specifically at anyone. The people standing there did not matter to him individually. It is far too much to expect of a Prime Minister who is making a roadshow to be personally interested in anyone. So I'm not criticizing Prime Minister Modi. I'm only saying that this is actually what happens. So the fact that Prime Minister Modi was not interested in anyone in particular in the crowd, and therefore he was not offering these flowers to them in a person-specific manner, is understandable. It was also understandable for another reason. There was none important enough in that crowd that the Prime Minister ought to have recognized or ought to have shown any personal interest in. So I began to think. These flowers, I said to myself, will wither away in a matter of hours. Right now they look very bright, colorful, cheerful, but they will wither away in a matter of hours. But even before they begin to wither, they'll be forgotten. At this point, my thought also turned to the people who had lined up on both sides of the road. Will they, my mind asked me, will they fare any better than these flowers? After all, in function, they all are similar to the flowers. They are the human flowers brought together to deck the roadshow. Suddenly, a complimentary thought occurred to me. Well, that's what we are most of the time. Garnishes to the dishes meant for someone else. All of our life is lived for others. Tools to be used and discarded at will. But let that be. My fellow Indians who lined up the roadsides came to see the Prime Minister. But the Prime Minister came to be seen by them, to which his seeing them was merely incidental. Maybe the Prime Minister did not see them. He saw the crowd. The fact that the Prime Minister saw the crowd does not mean that he saw them, the people, the human beings comprising the crowd. The crowd mattered to him, not the individuals. The individuals merely helped to make the crowd. To that extent they mattered, but only to that extent. The flowers were offered by the Prime Minister to the crowd, not to any one of them individually. Individually, none of them mattered or existed to him. That's why you find only the poor and the social underclass as side fixtures to roadshows. That's also why the rich and the social elite do not go out and vote when elections come. But, and this is a strange thing, governments who are formed mainly on the strength of the poor and the downtrodden forget them soon after assuming office and work mostly for the rich and the privileged who do not vote for them. That's called government of the people, by the people, for the people. Interesting, isn't it? But let's return to the roadshow. On the face of it, the roadshow is a picture of sheer waste. Millions of flowers were used to lend color and festivity to a half-hour roadshow of the Prime Minister. A waste? It might seem so. Perhaps it was not a waste because the roadshow would have been a lot poorer without the flowers. The same with the people also, the people in the crowd. None of them mattered individually, as I said before. but all of those countless insignificant individuals, like the individual flowers, made the significant crowd, without which the roadshow would have been a paltry thing. There is something meaningful in this for old people like you and me. If we focus on our individual plight, we might feel irrelevant and worthless, but as part of the larger family of humanity, our worth remains undiminished. We still have our worth, and we continue to contribute to that wider reality. When the census of India is taken, it is not that those above 70 are excluded. No, we are included in the census. Even if you are 100-year-old, you'll still be included. So that's what I say, that we contribute to the constitution of that total entity, and we are an inalienable part of it. As for the sense of waste you and I feel, consider this. Does a river weep because it is about to lose itself in the ocean? Does the river become less useful or valuable or significant because it's now only flowing about 2 or 3 kilometers from the ocean? Wasn't it its very purpose to flow into the ocean? Like all else, we too are flowing. Humanity is a river that's flowing continuously towards eternity. We are merely a little closer to the ocean. And we are closer than most others, yes, but others are not very far. They too will flow this way. There is no other way. There is no other way because there is no other destination. One of the realities that needle us more and more as we progress in old age is the sense of waste. We feel wasted, and that's not an easy feeling to endure. So let's look at this state a little more. Well, life is inherently wasteful. Consider an example. Millions of male sperms have to be wasted for an ovum to be fertilized and a life to be born in due course. The curious thing is that the millions that went waste or died fruitless were also the reason that the ovum was fertilized. Without them, the ovum would not have been fertilized, and no new life would have come into being. No man who produces only a single sperm can impregnate a woman. So, the unsung sperms also made their contributions to the birth of a Kalidasa, a Shakespeare, a Gandhi, an Einstein, a Michelangelo, a Gandhi, each one of the celebrated people that we know, a Modi. So our idea of the norm of relevance needs to be re-examined. We have only a kind of very shallow and immediate sense of relevance. There is an ultimate sense of relevance, where, as I said, the millions of sperms that seemingly go waste are also as important as that particular sperm that fertilized the ovum, the egg. Now let me share with you an experience, a personal experience that connects us to realities. A family in Delhi was very dear to us. They were our family friends, very, very deeply cherished family friends. The lady of the house was a Malayali doctor who had married a Rajasthani army colonel, both of them lovely people. The man's health took a sudden beating. He was paralyzed and was confined to bed for nearly 20 long years. When finally he died, his wife was distraught. At least there was a body in the bed, she sobbed inconsolably. She didn't say, "Thank God, it's over at long last." Even that emaciated body in the bed, from a utilitarian point of view, only a burden, had its immense and irreplaceable value for those who loved him, his wife and his daughter. We must look a bit more at this value. Surely, it was created over a long period of time. The value that this family had for this man was a value that was created over a period of time. It's a reflection of the quality of the relationship the man and the woman built up and celebrated over a period of time. That is really the purpose of all relationships, to create, to increase, and to celebrate the value of life, the value of each other. The sense of redundancy that a person feels in old age is not a reflection on old age. It's a reflection only on the years spent before old age and how those years were spent. Let's return once more to Modi and his roadshow. The flowers withered away, yet they live still. You see, they live in my thoughts long after they are forgotten by Modi and the organizers of his roadshow. So also the impersonal, nameless individuals who comprise the crowd, they too were forgotten, but they're alive in my thinking. For the vast majority of people on planet Earth, alas, life is no more than a fleeting appearance at the roadshow of history. But redundancy of this sort is what we invite upon ourselves. It is also something that we aggravate by virtue of consenting to be used as tools by others. Remember what Immanuel Kant said? The ultimate crime against humanity is using a human being as a tool. I would extend that insight a little further and say that the ultimate crime against oneself is allowing oneself to be used as a tool by others. For remember, every tool is meant to be used and discarded. So don't complain about being discarded. The problem began with your consenting to be used as a tool. And everybody who does so will be and will have to be discarded at some point in time. So, the one thing that we must refuse to abandon in our old age is a conviction about our incomparable worth. And that can come only if we are thoroughly persuaded of the incomparable worth of every human being. It cannot be that we have individual incomparable worth but others don't have. So we have to believe, we have to hold on passionately to the idea that every human being on planet Earth is incomparable in his or her worth. How we celebrate our personal worth, and that's the only way to live. To live is to celebrate the worth of life. So how we celebrate our worth may vary from person to person, but the duty to celebrate life is common to all. I celebrate life by seeking to increase my inner worth in any which way I can. This is not the occasion for me to go into the practical aspects of it. Maybe we can do that on another occasion. Let me close with a slogan. And forgive me for imitating Karl Marx here. If you remember how his Communist Manifesto, it's written jointly by Marx and Engels, how the Communist Manifesto ends. Workers of the world unite, for you have nothing to lose except your chains. So here is something that parodies it. oldies of the world unite, you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Thank you.